All right. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited because I just got all the links to work, the streaming links to work. So I'm super excited. So, hello, everyone on Facebook on the Intuition with Precision page. And hello, everyone who is live on YouTube today. So, this is the second day, day 2 of the free workshop that I'm offering of and today's called Higher Self Hotline, hit speed dial. This is day 2. So before I get into the workshop, I just want to be able to announce the winners of the gifts. We did 2 drawings, one for YouTube and one for Facebook. So let me just check and make sure that yep, I can see, and I can see the comments coming up on Facebook. And let me look back here. And hello, everyone on YouTube. So I'm really excited. I hope that you all went, whoever did the homework assignment, I hope that you read everybody's comments because they were fantastic. We had a couple of thousand on Facebook. We had almost 5,000 of you on YouTube. Many of you doing the homework and really having lots of great experiences. And so many people popping on this morning. So I did want to just take a look. I made a couple of little screenshots, which requires me to, okay, couple little screenshots on the homework. So the homework assignment yesterday was grounding into calm. And I so enjoyed reading all of your comments about different situations you were in yesterday, and you went ahead and decided to try that technique, grounding yourself. You found your inner calm, even in the midst of about ready to have an argument with your spouse or stress at work or feeling overwhelmed getting the kids to places. So I really loved to hear your perspective. And for many of you, your surprise is that it actually works, that you didn't have to wait a long time to practice it, that right away you were able to get results. So this one was homework. Wow, it took a long time to get my monkey mind to settle down. In doing this exercise and meditation, I realized that I spend most of my day this way. I've been very anxious. It got easier, and I did have a great session. When I got frustrated over words that my husband was saying, I wanted to go snack on something, but I did the grounding exercise and that urge greatly diminished. I'm trying to go with the next one. Homework. Hello. Wow. Big day. I seem to find my calm. I almost immediately after the class had several bouts of body panic. I could calm myself, but I must have dug pretty deep yesterday because as I went to the store, I got in the car and there I was future tripping. So remember in the workshop yesterday, whether you listen to the replay or live, we talked about when your energy's in the future, you can tend to have more anxiety. When your energy's in the past, you can tend to have depression. So this person said, immediately I found myself in the future thinking. On the way home, more future thinking. I could calm. And then eventually I had a huge crying jag. I'll embrace my grounding meditation because I like it a lot. Yeah. And so, yeah, you can, when you're going deep, when you ground into yourself, sometimes there's those kind of stuck, untapped emotions that want to come out and be cleared so that you can make more room for that inner calm. Let's see here. All right, here's the last one that I'll share with you today. So thank you all for sharing. I enjoy reading them. Homework. I did the original grounding meditation outside with the use of beautiful butterflies. I do remember you talking about butterflies as a grounding image. And then later I had to go to the Lowe's, so that's a hardware store. Lowe's, as I had an issue with my clothes dryer. And while I was there, I walked into the garden center and I thought of butterflies again while seeing them fluttering around the hanging baskets. So I imagined them grounding me while I was pulling on vines connected to my waist. I felt more at ease. I actually felt blissful, really, no matter the outcome of my broken dryer issue. Thank you, Nancy, for the beautiful work and helping us along the way. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to day one, it's going to be there for about a week for you to listen to the replay. Okay. So let me just announce the winner of the drawing. So we were going to choose one. We decided to do two. And so let's talk about Facebook. Yeah. Chris McGarry. Chris McGarry. Congratulations, everybody. Give lots of hearts, give lots of thumbs up, celebrating Chris McGarry, who did the homework assignment and whose name was drawn for one of the prizes today. On YouTube, Karen Gilroy, 3395. Karen Gilroy, 3395. You also are one of the lucky winners to win the drawing because you did the homework assignment. And I'll talk more about today's homework assignment at the end of our talk. But please write to info@intuitivemind.org and contact Kathy Bales so that you can get with her to give her your address so we can get that mailed out to you right away. Now, I just want to give a mention. We've now have 3 people who've signed up. Psychic Mastery 1 is my foundational course. Been teaching it for a long time. It was the original course and it's a year long. So we've had 3 of you register. And remember, when you register for Psychic Mastery 1 before Friday evening, I don't do private readings anymore, but as a group, we got together and we are going to offer, you're going to get to have a free mini reading with me if you register before Friday evening. Now, the big prize will be Enter the Win, the scholarship. Now, yesterday I made a mistake. I thought we were going to be announcing it Saturday morning, but my team reminded me it is Friday morning, which will be the morning of day 3. So we are going to, for everybody who's done the homework over the 2 days, we're going to put your name in the bowl. We're going to draw your name for a scholarship so that you can be a part of our Psychic Mastery 1 foundational program. Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible. And I will definitely be saying a lot more about that over the next couple of days. All right. So let's talk about this workshop is called Calm, Clarity, and Spirit Led. And the one thing about all of these techniques that I'm sharing with you, in some form or fashion, they are in the Psychic Mastery 1 program. So I just pull them right out of there. And the reason why I love to share them with you is that they're simple. They're so simple that what we tend to do is try to make them really hard and really complicated. But for those of you who were able to listen to the teaching, experience the teaching yesterday, do the homework, grounding in different places, you found that right away, right at your fingertips, all you needed to do was just take seconds. In seconds, you were able to shift how you were feeling. Now, I do want to give a mention to a couple of you who did say, I kept trying, but I never could really feel or sense that grounding. And I just want to refer you back to teaching 1 where Kathy Bales came on and shared about how she was really paralyzed by anxiety. And that even though she may not have gotten the instant kind of calm, anxiety-free results that she wanted to have the first time she grounded, she did notice there was a little bit of change. And then she did it the next day, and there was a little more change. And the next day, a little more change. So for those of you who may not have had the big bells and whistles that maybe you're reading that other people have, remember, you're not broken, There's nothing wrong with you. I had to start off in the same exact place, and everybody on here had to start off in the same exact place, little by little. So don't give up on yourself. I will never give up on you. Okay. So, higher self hotline. Today, we're going to be communicating with your higher self. So, when we sent out those surveys, so over 800 of you filled out those surveys. I just can't even tell you how incredible that is, and I so appreciate it. And one of the number one things at the top was people want to learn how to communicate with their higher self. So I have some really easy tips for you. You're going to discover today how to tap into your higher self for clarity, confidence, fast decision making, even when life feels uncertain. So let me just, someone said there's no live stream on Facebook. So let me just check. Okay, I do see myself there. So it would be under the private page so that you can feel comfortable sharing without the whole world knowing. It's the private page, Intuition with Precision. Because it is a private membership page, you do need to fill out the little questionnaire, and then we will accept you onto that page. So, yeah, Kim, you're saying for some reason there's no day 2, but I'm looking at it. So, all right. So let me go into my story about communicating with my higher self. And this story, it's a big story. It's where you really need to override. In this story, I had to override doubt, second guessing. It doesn't make logical sense. And I overrode it and I listened to my higher self anyway. But a part of this story I'm going to share with you when I didn't listen to my higher self. And listening to your higher self isn't just about the big decisions. I want to be really clear about that. It's as we're starting to move into, we are in the middle of our intuition coming online in a really big way. You want to start communicating with your higher self and getting that higher sense of information on a regular basis for even the little things, the medium things, the big things. You're going to practice a lot. So when it's the really big decisions you need to make, you feel really confident in your ability to do so. So in my story, all right, I'm standing in my living room wondering, what have I just done? I'm overwhelmed. I'm really overwhelmed. I'm talking to my own spirit, wondering if I just listened to guidance that led me to make the biggest mistake of my life. So 2 weeks before that, Yvonne and I were driving around looking for a house to rent that would have a yard for 2 dogs. You see, I lived in an apartment for 6 years, and 2 dogs in that apartment really provides a lot of limitations to how much outdoor time they can have. But 6 years before that, my spirit, my higher self, told me I needed to move. You see, I lived in a little tiny cabin, beautiful, isolated. It was on the water. It was surrounded by nature. I told my higher self, what do you mean I have to move? I plan on living in this beautiful place for the rest of my life. And that just doesn't make logical sense of why I need to move. A week later, a landslide slammed into the cabin while I was sleeping, shoving it very close to the water. The doors were jammed, and as I fought to get out, The doors were jammed inwards. I had to fight my way out and run for my life. So remember, just the week before, my higher self said, you need to move now. And I said, you're crazy. That's not logical. That makes no sense at all. And no, I'm not doing it. And then a week later, a landslide came and collapsed the cabin. I was forced to find a small apartment with my 2 dogs in 24 hours time to try to save the rest of the things in my house. So now, 6 years later, driving around a neighborhood, there are signs out in front of this old, dilapidated, actually a condemned by the city house with a very overgrown yard, ceilings and walls falling in, no plumbing, and such old electricity that it had Frankenstein breaker switches. She was a beautiful Victorian house, 130 years old, that must have really been the pride of the neighborhood during her time. But she had not been painted for 70 years. So this just gives you an idea, right? Curious, we pulled up. We could see the stairways leading up to the front porch. There was a door open. There was a sign stuck right in the yard, written in a very fine pen, for sale by owner. So we walked up to the front of the house, and right away we could see 10 people in there. They were cleaning out the house because the woman that had lived there, Irene Hinkleman, had lived there for 80 years. She had been brought in to be the housemaid, and she ended up, as the owners grew older, she took care of them. They left her the house. So she lived there for 80 years. And so right away, the people in the house said, hi, are you interested in buying this place? And we stood in the threshold and we looked at the disaster of this house and said, there is no way we are ever going to be interested in buying this house. And in fact, I never wanted to own a house again. After we lost that cabin, I was not interested. What happened was we go home and my higher self is saying, you need to make an offer on that house. No way. You need to make an offer on that house. No way. You need to make an offer on that house. There is no way I'm going to make an offer on that house. I am 60 years old. I know nothing about restoring a house. It's a bigger house than I need. It had 5 bedrooms, 1 bath. And I don't need that amount of stress in my life. I mean, I was throwing every excuse in the book and the kitchen sink at my higher self saying, you must get this house. So it was about a few days later, and I look at Yvonne and I said, are you thinking about this house? And she said, Nancy is crazy. I can't get this house off my mind. So not only was it condemned, not only was it too much house, not only was it we knew nothing about restoring an ancient house, not only that, we had like $6,000 in the bank account, period. End of story. And my spirit kept saying, make an offer on that house. So I figured the best way to get my spirit to stop pushing me was that I wrote like a $5,000 offer on the house, which nobody in their right mind would accept, and with a contingency that we'd be able to get a loan. And I wrote a little letter saying, you know, I love the house, but I love the neighborhood and the community support, and how the community really helped this older lady so she could stay in her house, blah, 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 blah. They accepted the offer and we got a loan. And you're not going to believe this. The woman that lived there for 80 years was a nurse. I'm a nurse. And we found a book on the floor that says, you are psychic and I'm psychic. Like, how crazy is that? I know it was Irene, but this is what I'm saying is that when spirit calls and when spirit guides you, it can sound so crazy. But the other thing that was driving me was when I heard my higher self say, I must move out of the cabin. And I thought that was the craziest thing. And then a landslide hit. What I'm going to tell you is, I don't know, I think it's 8 years later now, living in this house. Yvonne was the primary person to restore it. She won the Restoration Award for the city of Tacoma. And we have, a plaque on the front of historical significance. The whole neighborhood was rejoicing in just how happy the neighborhood became. So those are big decisions, but my higher self and I communicated in very little ways starting 30 years ago, and little by little built that confident relationship where that little voice of doubt, I could override that and I could listen to it. And I'm telling you, those are big things. But right now, this time that we're living in, it's not just noise. There's so many people that have an opinion about how the world should be run. There's so many people that have opinions about what should be done, what shouldn't be done. I bet you have a lot of people that have opinions about how you should run your life. And I bet you have a lot of opinions about how somebody else should run their life. And right now, the only thing that's really going to get us through is to start listening to our higher self. So let me give you a couple of tips, because I teach psychic development. I teach the foundational course, which is about you learning to listen to your intuition and heal yourself. There's a lot of healing techniques in there. And then in the level 2, I do teach psychic professional development. And then we have our advanced psychic development. This is a big question most people ask. What is the difference between intuition, imagination, and fear? Because you really want today to start trusting your guidance. So intuition is that sense, that feeling. That's where your spirit's in the driver's seat. Your spirit is guiding you to make the right turns in all the right places in your life, no matter how crazy it sounds. Fear is a body issue. So when your body is afraid, so my body got afraid to move out of the cabin. Of course, I'm not going to move. And I have to be really honest with you. If my higher self told me even now, if I was living in that cabin, I would think twice still, because that was going to be a big move to try to move houses in a few days. And then to buy this house, that was a big decision. So when fear sets in, you get really contracted, you worry, you fret, you bite your nails, you're just like pulling your hair out. It's like, that's fear. Fear doesn't want you to move forward, because fear wants you to be safe at all costs. Just lock the doors, lock the windows. Don't ever do anything in life. Be totally safe. Your intuition is enthusiastic. It's exciting. It's like a mountain breeze that blows through to move you forward. So where does your imagination fit in here? Well, often people ask, how do I know it's not my imagination? It is your imagination. Well, how do I know it's just not just my imagination? It is just your imagination. However, here's the way I interpret it. Well, first of all, intuition. So here's your spirit. Here's where your spirit resides. Here's where your higher self resides, up here above your head. Now, imagination is a spiritual ability. It's not a head ability. And that's where we get hung up. We think our mind is showing us a lot of crazy ideas, but in actuality, your higher self is communicating with your imagination that's communicating with you. So, like, for example, Nancy, you need to move. And in that imagination, I could see boxes. I could see boxes being carried out of the house. It's my imagination. So your imagination must be used for your spirit to communicate with you. Now, I did see somebody posted on the Facebook page. Thank you so much for posting this. I don't have a third eye, she says. A third eye is your psychic eye. So you can see with these two eyes, but then you've got your spirit eye that can see things. And she said, I don't have one. Well, I just want to let you know, everybody has one. But it just might be clogged with a lot of stuck energy on the top. And that's what I teach in the Psychic Mastery 1, is how to get that clear, how to start clearing that off. But you never have to have a visual third eye moment your entire life to be able to access the power of your intuition. Feeling is a powerful intuitive sense. Hearing, you have to move, is a hearing intuitive sense. Knowing is, I know I need to make an offer on that house, but there's every part of me is saying, Nancy, you're crazy. That's that pure knowing. It knows, it doesn't know how it knows, but it knows that if it doesn't follow that knowingness, that I might regret it, right? So just to let you know, for the person who said, I don't have a third eye, you do have a third eye, but I don't teach you to get a handle on your third eye. I teach you to have respect, honor, appreciate, and get used to using your own intuitive style. So I do have a questionnaire on what your intuitive style is. So anyway, so you can trust your guidance, and when you can hear clearly, everything in your life starts flowing again. So how do you connect with your higher self? So what is a higher self? So a higher self is, you have about 20% of your light, your spirit resides inside your body. So it's like you're this funnel, and it's like the light of your own soul, that wise, intelligent, hysterically funny, humorous, lighthearted higher self flows into the body. 100% of your spirit cannot come into the body. It is not possible. Why? Because, believe it or not, your frequency, your wisdom, your soul is so bright and so powerful. It would be trying to plug in a 660 volt and 110 volt plug. You would blow the circuit. So you just literally cannot bring all that light in. And with the 20% that's in your body, it's like, all right, it's going to go through the lower part of your body, which is your survival physical stuff. It's like, no, we better not do that. Yeah, well, it could turn out right. It could turn out wrong. It could turn out disastrous. I'm so confused. I'm so scared. I have a lot of doubt. Like, it's going to get washed out by all the stuff you hold in your body. And the biggest culprit is this head. Somebody mentioned monkey mind. Yeah, your mind. Make an offer on that condemned house that needs all the plumbing, all the electricity, all the walls, all the roof. Shall I go on? New toilet. Like it needs a kitchen. It needs everything. Yeah. Just try to get your mind to process that one. So when your spirit's in the body, it is kind of at the mercy of the waves of confusion. It's like you're on an airplane that has hit turbulence. And the pilot's announcing, get your seatbelt on. It's, it's going to be a rough ride as you're trying to decide what to do. But let's just say you've got a relationship with your higher self and you're like, no problem. I'm just going to go up to 30,000 feet where it's nice and calm and peaceful, where my higher self just isn't bothered by all that drama, chaos, and noise that's in my body. Okay. So it is like just rising above the turbulence to where you're got a smooth ride again, and the assistant there can just pour you a nice hot cup of coffee so you can enjoy the rest of your plane ride. So 20% is in the body, 80% is outside the body. Why do we call it the higher self? Because it's higher. Why do we call it the higher mind? Because it's higher than the mind. Why do we call it your higher wise self? Because as crazy as the decisions you may make in your life, you really are a wise, intelligent, incredibly wonderful soul that has decided to be here during this chaotic time in the world. So to move forward from this day forward, you must have that connection with your higher self. What's the biggest obstacle between you and your higher self? Doubt, second guessing, what if I'm wrong? So in our meditation, we're going to clear that. Now, imagination is your friend. Write it on your piece of paper. My imagination is my friend. I cannot tell you how often the students will ask me, and I can say it 10 times. Imagination, I promise you, is your friend. They'll say, how do I know it's not my imagination? That's the mind that wants to know, right? That's your head that wants to trip you up. So even imagining your higher self is talking to you. I'm giving you tips here. I've been teaching students for 25 plus years. I'm giving you some hot off the press tips. Even imagining that your higher self is talking to you. And here's a little precious tip that I'm going to give you. Your higher self's voice sounds like your voice. And you're like, yeah, that's not my higher self. That's just me. So then you ask again, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not listening to that. It sounds just like me. It doesn't sound like my higher self. It doesn't sound like my higher wise self. And I'll tell you, your higher self has a great sense of humor, can be funny, can swear like a truck driver. We imagine it's this melodious, being sitting on a throne. No, it's you. It's all parts of you. It has this personality. So I asked Spirit one time, I don't think this is myself, because my higher self communication sounds like my own voice. And when I asked, Spirit said, okay, Nancy, imagine this. You're talking to your higher self, and now your higher self's going to come to you in a really deep, manly voice. It would scare the bejesus out of you. And so it's like, so your spirit knows to just ease you into the spiritual driver's seat of your life by hearing your own voice, that higher wise self that is not limited by the body's conflict. Okay? Thank you, Renee, for writing that down. My spirit is my friend. Okay, so that's a tip. So when we go through this meditation, your higher self's going to sound like you. And let me see here. We're ready for a meditation. Are you ready to meet your higher self? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use what? Imagination is my friend. You're going to use that friend of your imagination in this. Now, when I first met with my higher self, it was tough. It was tough. So if it's tough for you, don't worry. It's not always going to be that way. But so I created a room. And I created a room where my higher self hangs out, up here where the other 80% of my soul is. When I first did it, I imagined that the room that my higher self resided in was like the Starship Enterprise. Now, I know some of you might not be old enough to remember, but remember where Captain Kirk, sat in that big seat. That's what I had. And remember, in the Starship Enterprise, there's that big panel where you can see the galaxies, right? And then you just push, or you just holler back at Spock or whoever else is back there, and forward thrust, we're going to move to this other star galaxy system. I made it fun. I made it exciting. I made it imaginative. And there was my higher self at the helm. And I got to have a conversation with my higher self. And I got to see on that big screen that what I felt, what I could hear, what I could see, what I could know. That's where my intuitive information came in. So now my higher self resides in an entirely different room, because as I've grown and as I've matured and as I've just changed, right? I've just changed. We all do. Now, here's my higher self. So I imagine I'm walking upstairs. You can imagine an elevator. I'm going to take you through this in the meditation. When I walk in, my higher self, it's a beautiful white sectional, comfy, cozy couch. Across the room is a thin, flat screen TV. I have windows all the way around. I have beautiful hardwood floors. I have other chairs to sit in. And there are times where I go up to talk to my higher self and I'm like, my higher self, I'm like, forget it. I'm sick of this human life. I'm not doing it anymore. And this is what my higher self will say. My higher self loves to make me chai tea. I don't drink chai tea on a regular basis, but when I go to visit my higher self makes me, just a minute. Let me make you a cup of chai tea. Okay, here's your tea. Sit down, tell me all about it. And so then I will just talk about what's going on. I talk about it with my higher self. My higher self is the best listener in the whole wide world. And sometimes my higher self will pick up the remote, point it at the screen, click on that little flat screen TV to show me the scenarios that are going on in my life to help me understand the bigger picture of why I might be struggling so much in this moment, or while the world's struggling, like those bigger picture items. My higher self has a great sense of humor. Sometimes I go up there and I think I'm not doing a very good job. I just don't know what to do. It feels too big. My higher self's like, you're the most awesome person on the face of the planet, Nancy. So just stop it. So see, your job's going to be to believe it. Your job's going to be to override the doubt and the second guessing. And I love it, Jim. My higher self hangs out at the bar in Star Wars. And I'm going to tell you, I've seen with my clairvoyant eyes, I've seen those creatures, and I'm telling you, I think they're really real. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So now we're going to have a meditation, and you're just going to get to create a space. You're going to get to meet your higher self. And your higher self, my higher self does look like a woman. Some people's higher self looks like a pure light. Some people's higher self looks like a little gnome. I have a student whose higher self is Bigfoot. It's a Bigfoot. Some people's higher self, you can be a woman and it could be a man. You could be a man and have a woman that's your higher self. Remember, there's no limits to imagination. So just go with it and let's have some fun. All right, go ahead, close your eyes, turn within. Whew. Just really Just allow the space around you to become very quiet, very peaceful. Allow yourself to bring that quiet, that peacefulness on the inside of who you are. Let your body know that you're going to be communicating with your higher self. Let your mind and your body know. But this does not mean that you're not important. It just means that in this next part of life's journey, we need some higher, wise guidance to help us along the way. But we're going together. So just let your body and mind know that. Send a little message. I call it like a little love note to your higher self. Let your higher self know that you're going to come up for a visit. So they might want to put the socks that are on the floor, get it picked up, put the magazines underneath the couch. But just let your higher self know that you would really like to create a space for the two of you moving forward to have a relationship and build a relationship. Ask your higher self to really enhance your imagination, enhance your ability to be playful. And first, ask your higher self to help you imagine some really solid grounding. That grounding force, we played with it yesterday, imagining maybe you're a tree with roots. It's going to connect around the area of your hips. It could be, for some of you, it was butterflies. For others, it was crystals. For others, it was a beautiful waterfall. A few of you actually worked with elephants, lions. So whatever frequency that you want to work with grounding, allow it to settle around your hips, and then it's going to go through the seat of your chair. Yes, Amanda, even dragons. Through the floor of the room that you're in. Through the foundation, through that 20-mile thick Earth's crust, and then gravity starts, just Mother Earth embraces your grounding, gravity pulls it all the way to the magnetic core, and then create another image to help anchor yourself there. And just take a moment to set your intention. If there is any energy, blocking energy in your body and your energy field that would interfere with your ability to have a connection with your higher self today, that you're just going to drop it down your grounding so Mother Earth can recycle it back into fresh, reusable energy. So what are the things that you can dump is doubt. Is there any doubt in my energy field? Any doubt that says I can't talk to my higher self or have an experience, I'm going to just release that doubt down my grounding. Any second guessing, insecurities, maybe anxiety. Just whatever it is, set your intention that it's just going to soften, loosen, dissolve, and with great ease, it's just going to drain. All those blocks will drain right down your grounding. Now let's go ahead and bring in some cosmic gold to just further rinse through your auric field, through the crown chakra where your higher self resides, your soul, your spirit, however you wish to address it. And that golden frequency is just going to come into the room where you are. It's like this elixir of gold. It's going to dissolve through any energy that may block you from having an experience with your higher self today. There you go. All right. So now allow yourself to remember in your body, it can be noisy, conflicted, chaotic, emotional. So now, right now, just float above. Just imagine your consciousness. You're just floating above. You're just thinking about you're going to float above the top of your head. You're going to go a little bit higher, higher, just like that airplane, getting into more of a state of that calmness. So now let's imagine and play. What type of space? And you can imagine an outdoor space with a grove of trees, with a beautiful opening in the middle. You can imagine a space that's filled with whales and dolphins and water. You can imagine a space that's in the desert. You can imagine a space like an old library full of first edition books since the beginning of time. Your room can be anything you want because it's your private space to meet your personal higher self. And now go ahead and just let yourself create the room with your imagination. And whenever you feel ready, if your higher self is not already in the room, ask your higher self to meet you in this sacred space that is just private. No one else is allowed in this space, just you and your higher self. When you have a conversation with your higher self, even if it's just a few words, it's a mind to mind communication. Your mind communicates with your higher self's mind, and it communicates with your mind, called telepathy. So let's just take 2 minutes of quiet as you practice and imagine and pretend that you're going to talk to your higher self about anything that you want to talk about right now. Ask any questions you wish to ask. All right, go ahead and thank your higher self for meeting you in this space. Bring the truth of your experience. There's so much light above your heads as I'm looking out in the YouTube world and the Facebook world. So much light. Even if you don't feel like you had a personal experience, I promise you, it is like a star of brightness out there, and it's starting to like just rinse through the truth of your relationship with your higher self. Allow it to just flow down through your body. Let your higher self know that you will visit often, and then make your way back down into your body. Thank your body for it, and your mind for its willingness to let go of doubt and insecurity, the mental need to be in control, so that your spirit could start to teach you how to take charge spiritually to work with your body. And then whenever you're ready, go ahead, open your eyes. And stretch those bodies of yours. And I would love to hear from you in regards to if you had an experience, you didn't have an experience. But I can tell you, using my clairvoyant eyes and looking at all of you out there, even on the replay, there's a lot of light out there from your experience. So you've now made a connection with your higher self hotline. Hit speed dial whenever you need it, any time of the day. And so this is what we do in the Psychic Mastery 1 program. And then when we have our skill building courses, it's always bringing it back to what's your higher self saying. Okay, tell me what your higher self is recommending about this. Okay, have you talked to your higher self about this? So we keep coming back and cycling through to build that muscle, that strength. And again, it might not happen overnight, but it really doesn't happen overnight for anybody. It just takes practice. Yes, I see someone saying, I feel a little altered right now. And that altered is your own spirit is just starting to move into the driver's seat of your intuitive navigation system. Someone said, my higher self just gave me advice on a business meeting I have this morning. Someone else saying, I had an experience, personal and galactic. Someone else saying, I saw a lot of different things. My higher self looks like Esmeralda from the Hunchback of Notre Dame in jeans. She said to tell the world what I will do. What was that? That was a loud sound. I don't even know where that came from. Okay. So anyway, and then we have someone else said they were in an underwater room with belugas floating by, the Elven Kingdom. And someone said they had another terrific experience. But again, if you didn't remember, having a third eye and being able to see is not the outcome you're looking for. We have a saying, Yvonne says this all the time, that she sees without seeing. She's a knower. She's a feeler knower. So she'll see the library filled with books, but doesn't actually see them, but knows that the bookshelves are there, knows that the books are there, knows the titles of the books. So remember, keep practicing. I didn't receive any messages, but an old lady came forward with open arms to give me an embrace. That was it. That was it. So beautiful. Okay. So let me just finish up here. We did have somebody who was going to bring on a testimonial from New Zealand, but I'm just going to check because she may have had struggles to get into the call. And I don't see her there, unfortunately. So, but we do have other students who will have different things that they'd like to share, which we will share those later. Wow, that was seriously amazing. Wonderful. All right, let's see here. Homework. What is your homework? All right, we're going to do another drawing for a prize tomorrow morning, but also out of the 2 days of doing homework, we're going to collect all the names, and one of you is going to win a full paid scholarship for the Psychic Mastery 1 program. I put the link of the Psychic Mastery 1 program here for you to go take a look at it. And remember, in the early registration that ends on Friday evening, you will get an additional bonus with a mini reading with me personally. And so, what are the benefits of deepening your intuition? What benefits have you experienced yesterday? Learning how to ground, anchor into calmness. No matter what was happening, you got to recenter into calmness. Today, you got to have an experience or begin to have an experience communicating with your higher soul self. Priceless. And tomorrow, guided by spirit, spill the tea, you're going to be communicating with one of your spirit guides. And in just 3 days, you've learned a lot to dramatically change how you navigate through life. But when you choose to sign up for the Psychic Mastery 1 program, it is an entire year full of amazing techniques like this and even more. So if I were you, definitely want to hop in because I don't open up that program often. And so the benefits of deepening your intuition is non-negotiable right now. Why? Because in these unpredictable, unstable world filled with loud, noisy chaos and drama, it's the one thing that never lies, it never wavers, and it never leaves you hanging. And I think I might leave myself hanging, when I didn't listen and when I did listen. But it is your direct connection to the divine, and it will always lead you to the place that is right, that is very real, and will lead you to the next place that you need to be. And again, priceless. So again, thank you everyone for joining me today. I am so surprised that we finished this up in an hour. But this meditation will be up, this recording, the replay will be up for about a week now. I look forward to you joining me tomorrow, because being able to communicate with a spirit guide, yeah, it's super cool. Super cool. Very super cool. The guide that you were born with. So I look forward to meeting you here tomorrow, same time, same channel. And the homework, oh gosh, did I not say it? Talking to your higher self. So today you're going to talk to your higher self about the little things or the big things. Now, one of you just said, my higher self just gave me a message about a meeting I'm going into today. All right, you just completed the homework assignment. If you had an experience with your higher self, just put homework if you're on YouTube, homework, and then you're going to write down the experience that you had. Have a conversation with your higher self when you're walking. Have a higher conversation when you're washing the dishes. Go into quiet. Have a higher conversation with your higher self about things that maybe be weighing heavy on you right now, causing you stress and anxiety, because it's like that spark gets lit and then this liquid calmness comes through your whole body when you talk to your higher self. If you're on Facebook, the homework there will be posted. It'll say homework day 2 here, and then you can go list your homework assignments there. And then we will announce the 2 winners for the prize tomorrow, and we're going to announce the scholarship. So, okay, have I got everything covered now? I hope so. If I don't, I'll come back and mention it. All right. Thanks again, everyone. It's really a lot of fun hanging out with you. All right. Bye-bye.